Hi there, Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and we've been focusing on decluttering the past few days in celebration of Declutter You, which is the biggest and best, most effective course I have ever created, and it is designed to help you get your entire home decluttered once and for all. And today's video is going to be about 9 common pieces of decluttering advice that I hear that may not actually work for you. Now, I should mention with these pieces of advice, like everything, I think that organizing and decluttering are a very personal journey. So I'm not saying that if anyone who's ever said this advice is lying to you or anything like that. This may be some advice that works for you, and maybe some of these things that I say don't work actually work for you, in which case be sure to let me know in the comments. But I just think that they either haven't worked for me or a lot of the people that I've tried to help, it may actually be counterproductive. One of the things I hear all the time, and there are kind of 2 opposing sides to this. I hear a lot of people, I would say this is probably 75 to 80% of the people giving decluttering advice will say something like, do not try to do it all at once. You just want to do it a little at a time. So just try to fit a little at a time, maybe 1 or 2 items a day or 15 minutes a day or something like that. Don't overwhelm yourself, just do a little at a time. But then maybe 20 to 25% of the people are in the complete opposite camp, and this would be like the Marie Kondo camp, where they would say you need to do it all at once. So like really focus on it for a while and get it done. So who are you supposed to believe? The truth is both and neither. So let me clarify. When it comes to decluttering and organizing, you need to work with your own decluttering and organizing personality style and the realities of your own life. And I think that there are a few people that do really well in a little bit of an all-at-once style. I'm not saying that that means that like you're gonna take the next 2 weeks and you're gonna literally declutter your entire home, but like if you're gonna organize your pantry, it would be better to take 3 hours and just really get it done than to work on it for 15 minutes a day for 2 or 3 weeks. I think there are a few people like that. That is also who I am. I am a sunflower, which I'll tell you what that means in just a second. And so there are some like this, versus there are some, and I would say this is probably a few more people who are just never going to do well trying to tackle something all at once. These people get easily overwhelmed. The thought of really taking on something big is not appealing to them, and therefore they're really just never going to thrive trying to tackle things all at once. And if you're wondering what you are, I highly recommend that you take our organizing personality quiz, and it will tell you and help you uncover which one of these 2 you are. It will also help you determine whether or not you are more of a functional or aesthetic organizer. And so go ahead and click the link below. I, spoiler alert, am a sunflower, so you can figure out what you are, and that's going to help you know which one of these pieces of advice you should take to heart. There are all sorts of attempts to give you a lot of structure and guidelines surrounding not having too many articles of clothing. This is things like Project 33, 10-item wardrobe, capsule wardrobe. I'm sure there's more. And I know that some of these work amazingly for some people. So if one of these works for you, fantastic, go for it and do it. I have found that for me personally, trying to set any kind of rules on my wardrobe just has not worked well for me. For one thing, as with many people, I am constantly changing, both in terms of like my body itself and what literally fits me from, having kids, pregnancies, post-pregnancies. My weight does fluctuate. And then we also have the fact that my own personal tastes are changing over time. For a long time, I just really wanted to hide and blend in and have the plainest, most non-remarkable clothes on planet Earth. And in recent times, I've kind of gotten a little bit more confident and realized, hey, I actually love bright, colorful, cheerful clothes, and I'm not so afraid to wear the things that I actually love, and maybe it's just getting older, I don't care so much what people think. If they don't like it, okay, fine, And so my tastes have kind of changed over time, and I've also found that in order to find what works really well for my body, what I feel good in, I need need room to really experiment and try. I just don't know if I'm gonna like a certain style or what colors and what styles really feel good on me until I try them. And I think the rules are too restrictive, but that is because I was started as more naturally a person who didn't want to waste time on clothes or money on clothes or thoughts on clothes. And so I need to be encouraged to experiment and try things. I also show up on camera a lot and I don't want to be wearing the same thing every time, things like that. So for me, it just hasn't worked. Now, again, if you are a person who you are buying a new article of clothing every day and that's your struggle, maybe having some rules and trying to kind of rein that back in is a good idea, but it's fine if you don't follow any particular set of rules. Though the one thing that is really important to keep in mind is if you don't wear it and love it, do get rid of it. I do not keep clothes in my closet that I couldn't put on today. So if it doesn't fit today, if I don't like it today, if it's uncomfortable, I do get rid of it. Other than that, I allow myself, whatever clothes appeal to me. If you want to dive a little bit deeper on this topic, I actually have an entire video. It got lots of great comments. I was actually kind of surprised. I think it resonated with a lot of people. So I'll leave the link to that down below if you want to go a little bit deeper on this wardrobe concept. This advice is not totally wrong, but it's just a little bit, I think, overused. And that's the idea of having a maybe bin or a time will tell bin or a halfway bin of when you're decluttering and you're not really sure about something, instead of having to completely declutter it, you put it in some kind of bin that's waiting to see if you need it. Now, the problem with this is if you have that maybe bin to rely on, the chances are pretty good that you're gonna way overuse that. So when I'm decluttering, if my maybe bin is right there, I'm like, well, I don't really know. I don't have a place to put it, but I just don't feel good getting rid of it. And then it's gonna go in there, and then you're gonna end up with way too much still to manage. Your maybe boxes are gonna get out of control. And I don't feel as accomplished if I don't actually get that item out of my house. So I would say the maybe bin should be a last resort instead of something that you consider when you're decluttering. Now, there are a few times if you really just can't part with something, but you really think you probably don't need it and you're really struggling, then a maybe bin could work for that. But I want it to be very limited. Another time when a maybe bin could work better, I use this when I'm helping my kids declutter and they really just don't want to let things go. And I'm like, we cannot keep all of this. Literally, I can't fit it in your room. Then I will set up a maybe bin situation for them. But that's only because I'm not decluttering for myself. I'm decluttering with them and for them. And that's the only way that they can let things go. And I'll put it in a bin and I'll say, hey, we're going to revisit this in 6 months. If you haven't gone and gotten these things out, we're going to go ahead and pass these things along. Minimalism, I feel like, has kind of taken over the internet in the last 5 to 7 years. And I think a lot of that is wonderful and great and fantastic because really and truly, most of us have just too much stuff. We have too much stuff. It's just too hard to manage it all. And getting rid of a lot of it has just unbelievably amazing benefits. So I like minimalism as a whole. However, I think it is possible to take it too far, especially when you're seeing it from all angles online, and especially when you believe that minimalism means to live with as little as humanly possible. And I have actually listened to a lot of minimalists and talked to them who don't actually feel that way, but I think it's a common kind of idea that, oh, well, I guess I just need to have as little stuff as humanly possible. And that alone can be stressful because there are times when having too little actually adds more stress to your life. I mean, there are tons of examples of this. One small example I'll share is that reducing my children's clothes only adds stress to my life because then I am forced to do laundry more often. It stresses me out to think that, well, if we get sick and I want to take 7 days off of laundry, we're literally not going to have clothes to wear. So in that case, having less causes me more stress. It may not for everyone else. That's just one small example. So we shouldn't get caught up in thinking that we're just trying to have as much as possible or thinking that it's a competition that whoever has the fewest whatever dishes, clothes, items wins. That's not true at all. We each kind of have our own unique clutter thresholds, our own unique desires. Like I have a lot of hobbies that I actually do and enjoy, and that needs a little bit of stuff. I don't feel bad about having that stuff, even though somebody else who really doesn't have as many hobbies, or maybe theirs are just don't require stuff. Maybe they want to go to parks or go outside, and maybe they live in a climate where year round they can spend a ton of time outside. That half the year I can't, so I need indoor hobbies. Like, there's just all different situations. So just make sure that we're not trying to declutter for decluttering's sake, and we're doing it with the purpose of making our lives easier. Really common advice when it comes to paper clutter, which is a huge problem for a lot of us, is to go paperless. Get rid of all your paper, scan everything, go completely digital. Here's the problem with that. Many of us are not actually ready to go completely digital. We like having some paper, and often it's looked at as this all or nothing. I either have to go completely digital or I keep my paper. But actually there is a middle ground where you do take some things digital and you're not keeping papers that you don't care about. Like, for example, I really do not care about my bills. Like, I don't need to see those. So it doesn't bother me at all to scan those in and take those paperless. But recipes, although I have them organized digitally, I also have them all printed and in a binder because I really want to cook from a paper recipe. I don't prefer having like my laptop or my iPad or my phone right there cooking from it. So that works well for me. So the truth is that you don't have to go all or nothing, and you can take it one thing at a time as you go paperless and start to digitize. And doing that can clear up a ton of clutter for all the things that you're willing to take digital. I actually have an entire course explaining how to do this and how to do the hybrid method well if you're interested in that, but don't believe that you have to be all or nothing with it. Something that I see a lot, mostly in like headlines of videos and things online, is something like declutter your entire home in a weekend. Honestly, I've probably made a video with that title, but here's the deal. You can't, most people, really declutter your entire home in one weekend. That's just not a thing. You could probably make progress in most rooms in a weekend, or you could make a lot of progress, yes. But most of us, unless we've already gone through an initial like tidying up and purging everything very thoroughly, couldn't do it in a weekend, and that's okay, and it's not supposed to be that way. So don't feel frustrated if you're like, oh, there's no way I could declutter my home in a weekend. It's really more of a habit, lifestyle, and mindset than it is a project to tackle. Because even if you could wave a magic wand and have your entire home decluttered this instant, it would come back unless you have the habits in place of decluttering. So unless you're regularly getting rid of the things that you don't use and you're watching what comes back in. So if you are ready to take decluttering seriously and really put in the extended time that it takes to transform yourself and your home into more of a clutter-free place, I highly recommend you click the link below and check out my course, Declutter You, that is going to give you everything that you need to be successful in setting up this long-term decluttering mindset and really taking care of your whole house. And I will tell you, that will not be done in a weekend. It's going to take you weeks, months, possibly even years, and that's okay. Sometimes I hear people imply or say that we should wait until we're feeling motivated in order to declutter. Now, I'm the first to tell you that if you're feeling pretty motivated, that is going to be helpful when you're decluttering, but it is a mistake to think that you need to wait for motivation in order to start decluttering. Instead, I want you to do two things. First of all, I want you to realize that you don't have to wait for that motivation, and it's going to be really hard to make steady progress if we're waiting for the motivation. And realize also that often motivation comes right after we start. So 90% of the time, if I start the task, within a minute, I'm starting to feel a lot more motivated and excited about it. But the second thing is, it is easier to do when you're feeling motivated. Obviously, like anything is easier to do if you're just feeling naturally excited about it, you're seeing progress, and you want to do that. So there are a lot of things that you can actually do to increase the chances that you will feel motivated to declutter and limit the amount of times that you just have to go kind of, I call it white knuckle it and do it anyway. That's going to happen sometimes. There's just nothing anybody can do to feel motivated to do what they're supposed to do 100% of the time, but there's a lot you can do to make that more likely. And I wish I had time to teach you all of those strategies right now. But again, I highly recommend you check out my course, Declutter You, and that's where I go into all of the strategies to stay motivated. And in addition to that, we offer support and we also offer celebrations with you. So you'll be able to earn prizes as you go for decluttering. And that is a huge part of staying motivated, is celebrating your accomplishments. And I think so often, myself included, I'm so focused on the next thing I need to get done. I need to go do this and do this, that I don't stop to celebrate and appreciate how far I've come. So whether you join the course and we help you do that with you and we actually, give you prizes, or you don't join the course and you are doing this on your own, make sure that you are taking that extra time to stop and celebrate how far you've come. Take those before and after pictures. So when you're starting to feel a little bit less motivated, you can look at those and be like, wow, look at what a transformation I did in this room, or even this drawer or this space, and you can find your motivation again. When you're deciding what to keep and what to let go of, a really easy place to start is getting rid of duplicates. And I generally agree with that. Popular advice is that's an easy place to start. However, I do not get rid of all duplicates in all situations. So I just want to point out, I'm going to give you 3 examples of times where I keep duplicates, and you can probably think of your own. So it's not true that you can never have a duplicate. Sometimes having additional of something adds to convenience. For example, I have multiple chargers for my phone. We have a really big home. We have 2 levels of our home, and so I have a charger for my phone in my bedroom. That's the upstairs charger. And then I have one by my computer desk in my office downstairs, because I'm sitting at my computer desk for sometimes multiple hours a day and I want my phone to be charged there. So that's one example of where it's helpful to have multiples, because it adds to convenience. It would be a major pain if I had to leave my phone upstairs when I was working downstairs, or if I had to run up there and get it. And also I want to have my phone relatively charged all the time. So that's important to me. Another example that I have duplicates of is toiletries for travel. I keep my travel toiletry case. So I have makeup and deodorant, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush, all those things, hair stuff. That I have 2 of all of those, and I keep one little travel case packed up at all times, ready to go. You would not believe how much time that saves on travel, and it also increases the likelihood that I will remember everything, because if I have to repack it every time, the chances that I might forget something are higher. Just makes it so much easier. So I love having duplicates for that purpose. Another thing that I definitely have duplicates of is hairbrushes. So I have a hairbrush in the bathroom, of course, for my daughter. I also have one sometimes in where we're leaving the house and in the car, because you never know when you're going to need to fix your hair. The same might be true. I wouldn't say this is necessarily duplicates, but if your bedrooms are not on the same level where you exit your home, socks and shoes should be at the door where you're leaving, not just in the bedroom, because you want it to be easy when you're leaving. Some people recommend that you sell the things that you're decluttering so that you can make extra money. Now, I am all for making extra money, but some things are not worth selling, and in some cases, it's just not worth your time to try to sell anything at all. So this will be on a case-by-case basis. It's very easy for the things that you just aren't going to get anything for. There are just things, especially adult clothing that's not name brand. I mean, rarely ever are you going to make hardly any money. It's going to be hard to sell. It's going to be a lot of work. So some of those things aren't worth selling. Then for the things that you might be able to get some money for, you need to consider if you're actually going to do it. Because what's really easy to do is, as you're decluttering, to be like, well, I could sell these and make a little bit of money, and I could sell these, and then you just start gathering up boxes and boxes of stuff that you could sell. Maybe you think you're going to list it online someday, or maybe you think you're going to have a garage sale someday, and then it sits there for 5 more years, and then you eventually declutter it. If you want to sell items, which I am a fan of, I have an entire video on selling items. I'm a huge fan of that. And I also find it very motivational once you start making a little bit of money. It's very motivational. Oh, what else could I go around my house and make some more money on? So I'm not at all opposed to it. However, you got to make sure that it's in the right season when you have time, because selling items online takes a lot of time. You've got to take pictures of the thing. You've got to write up a description of the thing. You've got to post it. You've got to answer 52 million questions. I mean, you're just going to get a ton of questions. You've got to arrange to meet the people and, all this stuff. So it's going to take a bit of time. If you have that time, fantastic, do it. If not, if it's going to take you, let's say 20 hours and you're actually only going to make $20, is that worth it to you? For most of us, probably not, unless we really do have some extra time. Versus if you think it's going to take you 2 hours and you're going to make $100, that might be a lot more worth it. So just carefully consider whether it's worth it to you. And this is like the most important thing. If you're going to sell things, don't just like put them in a general location or box or whatever. I'm going to sell these someday. You have to put on the calendar when you're going to sell them. So I'm having a garage sale a week from Saturday. Then you're allowed to keep it to sell in the garage sale. Or if you're like, okay, I'm going to set aside this week, and I would recommend doing that. If you're going to sell on like Facebook Marketplace, set aside a concentrated week or two that you're going to sell. Put that in the calendar. This is when I'm going to sell the items, and then actually do it. So they don't just sit around forever. If there's popular organizing advice that you have tried that hasn't worked for you, we would love to hear about it. Let us know in the comments, and then go ahead and check out my next decluttering video for more decluttering inspiration. The link is down below and right here on the screen.